Hey, it's Zero to Pass coming at you on the weekend. Just got my booster yesterday. Yeah, feel like I ran a marathon, but hope you all out there staying safe, doing your part, keep everyone safe. And hopefully still, hanging out, enjoying Vanguard as safe as you can. You always got remote fight, right? So just recently I brought you ThinkSaver Magic Solar Blaster, which I've been working on. I really enjoy that. But today I'm going to bring you gears. And so it's been pretty interesting for me. The whole premium, I was playing, as you guys who follow me know, been playing since way back. No bragging rights, nothing, but I've been playing the game for quite a bit. And what I've really enjoyed doing more recently, I guess over the last couple years, is taking some of these clans that I've gotten involved with in V-Era, such as gears, and basically building them up into a premium deck. And I've had a lot of fun doing that. Played Magic Sealer Blaster just a little bit, but had ThinkSaver lying around. Really liked the card. I didn't play it pre-G or even in G-Era, but I did pick it up some years back and had the opportunity to build a hybrid, which I think is pretty fun. Is it top tier? It's fun tier. Let's put it that way. So I'm going to be testing that out with my buddies, against all the things, Highlander, NLK, Dragonic Overlord, all that. We'll see how we do. But today I want to bring you gears. And then the project I'm working on behind this is Shadow Paladin. Not the Raging Form one, but the Morfessa. So one of the things I really like about gears, and also the Royals deck that I just brought you, is extending through multiple Vanguard attacks, and extension is very important. The really cool thing about this deck is it can toolbox a lot. Toolboxing is great if it's consistent, right? If you're able to get into your pieces, not really filling your deck up to the point where it bricks easily, but does not brick easily. So just a little bit of a very simple game theory there, right? So been working on this. The initial iterations of this really were just Grog Rock, no time leap. Just basically taking your V-Era next stage deck and throwing a G-Zone to it. That's pretty much what I've been running. But I've gone ahead and changed that up a little bit. If you want to get into gears for premium, you've been playing them in V-Era, you definitely want to get the latest Revival collection. Most of those cards are really good. Hetero Round, TikTok, Urwater, History Maker, all go right in. And Gear Groovy, at least at a pair. So most of that, if you actually got like a split, most of it's actually very good. The one thing missing there, maybe Mellum, but I believe she had been reprinted in one of the previous sets, so there's more of her running around. Kind of, if you go on TCG Player, there isn't, unless people have started putting it back up there. It's the other thing, if you want to get into premium, get on the boat now, because some of this stuff it's very low print. It's like any other game. You go back and look at the big original TCGs, and you go back and look for commons and such. They can be hard to find just because there wasn't a huge print just dropped out there. So unless it gets reprinted, you never know, right? You just never know. So don't be surprised that certain commons hit $10, $15. And honestly, it's given the worth because they're just scarce. So the card may say common on it, but it's no longer common. So anyhow, enough of that. Just please bear with me. Again, just feeling really tired, but wanted to bring this to you. I enjoy making videos, so yeah, and talking through things. And I always like getting feedback. I'd like to know what you guys are doing. So with this deck, this is Chronojet. So that's the other thing with gears. It's really awesome. There are different builds you can go with. Zodiac Time Beast, Chrono Fang, Chronojet. You really have a lot of things that you can do. Is it all going to be competitive? No. But could it be fun? Yeah, sure. So, you know, tier 2 level, as I guess we call it out there now, tier 2 casual. It's probably more like tier 3 casual. But yeah, you can build a lot of different things. So this deck, you could either start with this, or you could use this as your starter. So these are both valid Chronodrans. And if you're gonna run any of this in your main deck, you could only run up to 3 because my starters also, right? So I could only run 3 more of this, but I'm running at 1. So we all know what the V1s do, right? You ride on it, you draw a card. If you want second, you get a quick ticket. So, but this guy, so he's a Forerunner. So the way it works is when you ride on top of a Forerunner, they pop out and go to one of your rear guard circles, whichever one you want. And his ability basically says when he gets bound, when he's put in the bind zone, it procs his ability, which says to shove him in the soul and go get a grade 3 Chronojet, call it to a rear guard circle, and then at the end of your turn, you get to bring it back to your hand, which is really cool because it can extend your game. And not only that, it's going to give you a grade 3 in hand, which you may need for fodder, stride fodder the next turn, or if you want to re-ride and get another marker. So in this deck, I'm running the 4 Viera Chronojets. You get the markers, Sentinel, Guard, Restrict. I mean, I don't think there's really any other version of Chronojet I would really run in here as the main boss. You could run Chronojet G maybe at 1 copy. If you want to, for a tech that you could time leap out, whatever, but yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to that more so. So these are really your 2 options. For me, my meta jet deck is going to run this just because I have so much removal in my environment. This is just going to get popped probably 75, if not more % of the time. So this will just end up disappearing. So I do main deck it. I main deck it because I want to be able to go Mellum into this and hopefully be able to use this to extend my plays, especially on Grog Rock, and we'll talk about that later on. Yeah, so starter. This is predominantly a Force 1 deck, so got a lot of my Force 1s, probably not going to use all these, but I do have the Force 2 in here. I really like this one. It's from last fall, winter. It shows the generations of Vanguard. It doesn't have D-Era in here, but it has everything before that. I really like that. I think it's really, really awesome. So, and then of course you need your quick ticket. So that's my starter. Pick what you will, but one of these. It'd be one of these for this deck. So let's go ahead and put the G zone aside for a second. Let's go into the grade 0s. So we have him. We already talked about it. TikTok. TikTok's great. You're going to want to run 2 or 3 TikToks. So the way TikTok works is at the end of a battle, one of your other units was attacking. You can put this in the soul and then time leap that other card. So what time leap does is you check the grade of the card that you're time leaping. That card leaves the field, goes to the bind zone. You look in your deck for a grade +1 and you call it to a rear guard circle. At the end of the turn, the card that was called goes back to the bottom of the deck, and the card that was placed in the bind zone goes back out to the field. I believe is rest, right? Not that it really matters because you're not gonna see at the end of the turn, put the card bottom of your deck. You just call it. It doesn't really matter, I guess, because you're not gonna attack anymore. So it's not as rest, but you just call it back wherever you want. It's like a grade 2 you want to protect. Of course, you can call in the back row, whatever you want to do. So some people run this at 3. You can. It's a very good card. Mellum's going to be able to go search this out. So if you damage check 1, maybe you have 1 in your hand, you can just call it. But if you damage check 1, you'll still have the other. So, which isn't a reason why you might want to run more of this too. But I right now really only have room for the 1. So I'm running the overtrigger. This overtrigger is pretty good because plus 10k and a critical on your turn your Vanguard gets continuously. So if you're doing Grog Rock plays, each time your Vanguard's swinging, you're going down through the generations of cards, the stride, and then into next stage from your deck, and then into Chronojet himself. Each one of them is going to get plus 10 and the crit throughout, so that's pretty strong. I'm running 3 grade 0 PG draws, and then my last Sentinel is a critical just to get the critical number up. Yeah, I've got 4 of the stride crit in here, bringing my crit count currently up to 5. This one basically counts essentially as a grade 3 when you stride. Into a stride, not into a main deck grade 4. You can't do that. And then lastly, I've got one more crit in here. This is the GB1 into Soul. Give your Vanguard 10k until end of battle and draw a card. So bringing our crit count up to 6. I typically like to run more critical, although I'm experimenting more with the next card, which is Urwater. So Urwater is a stand. So if you're getting into premium, one of the things you need to know is the older triggers check for 5 power, 5k. They don't check for 10k. It's 5k, and the shield value is 10 instead of 15. So the way Urwater works is if this card is being bound, so you have this in play, right? You bind it. When you bind it, what you do is you let's see here, you draw 2 cards. You put this at the bottom of your deck, first of all. You put this at the bottom of your deck. You draw 2 off the top, and then you take a card from your hand, put it back in your deck, and shuffle your deck. So what's really cool about this is, say you have your OT in your hand. You could use Urwater to actually cycle this back in your deck so that you can try to check this on either offensive or defensive. So it's pretty could and you could put anything from your hand, not just the 2 cards you draw, but anything. I have a split here of 2 heal from Vera. They're 20Ks. You know how it is. And then I have 2 of the, these are the 5Ks with 10, and these are the 10Ks with 20s, right? But I have 2 of the 5Ks with 10. This is the one where when you use this to pay the cost for placing a G-guard, and that's what you have to do, right? You have to pitch one of your heals. This checks to see if there's another heal in your damage zone. If there is, you can bind this and that heal, whichever one it is. You can bind that, and you get to choose either to soul charge or counter charge. So a little bit of a counter charge package in there. And honestly, I want that because I want to be able to use my cards that have counterblast. I don't want to be able to say, oh, well, you know, for example, Urkob. You know, Urkob is in here. Urkob's great for throwing as a grade 3 to stride, but that's not the only thing it's good at. It's really good at pressuring by giving your Vanguard an extra drive check. And I want to be able to do that. So the way the deck was built before, pure Gragrock, no time leap at all. Now you can see I'm putting in a little bit of time leap and talking about it. I still want to be able to do those plays, as well as time leap. And History Maker has counterblast, so you have to be very mindful of that. And so our grade 1s, who you want to ride is Tigger. So Tigger, the way Tigger works is if it's on your Vanguard, you're going to draw an extra card on your turn. So if you go first, you ride into this. And first of all, you want to try to hard mole into this. But if you go first, you ride this at the beginning of your turn, next turn, you draw a card, and then you draw an extra card. And if you went first, you skip the G2 draw, or G2 ride up. The G2 ride, just skip it. Let your opponent go up first. That way, the next turn, you're going to be able to draw another card. You're plussing 2. It's not always going to be what you want to do, but you definitely want to consider doing that. And I would say most of the time, it probably is what you want to do. So, you know, there's always a counter, right, to certain things. But this definitely is going to help you keep your card count up while your opponent hits grade 3 first. You're still going to have been as though you had drove check extra card for each one of those turns. I play with Ribble. Ribble is if she's discarded during your turn for a cost, you Soul Blast, put her into play, she gets +5. Take a card from your drop. I believe it's a normal unit. Yep, put normal unit from your drop. Yep, and draw a card. So she's going to +1. She's going to extend your game. This card's just really good. And I typically have this at 4. I don't really like having this at 3. I could go down to 3 on this, but you really want to ride this first. But the reason this is at 3 is to open up some room here for Mellum. Mellum's really great. Mellum, when she attacks, she gets +4, putting her at 11. That used to be really good because Vanguard's base were 11 or 10. Now they're basically 12 or 13 for the most part. And so when she attacks, at the end of her battle, you put her back in your deck and you call it a grade 0. So you could call out a TikTok, for example, or you could call out Chronojet or Urwater. Typically you want to call out one of those cards because they're going to do things for you. And then the last card I have here, grade 1, and there's a whole slew of options. I'm going to kind of show those real quickly here, but I'm running Hegald. Hegald, the way it works is if you have a grade 4 Vanguard, this unit gets act Soul Blast, put this unit on the bottom of your deck, choose a card from your drop zone, put it on the bottom of your deck, and countercharge 1. And then GB1, when this is placed, you can soul charge. So you can effectively just put in, you can soul charge if you're at GB1, and then it's going to soul blast out. But this allows you to, first of all, this is going to countercharge, which I really like. But it's also going to recycle itself and another card. So, and this literally says, choose a card from your drop zone. A card, not normal unit, card. So another way of cycling back in your over trigger. Maybe there's a heal you want to cycle in. Maybe there's a critical, or water, whatever you want to cycle in. You can do that. Whatever you want. Pretty powerful. I think it's a very versatile card, and I'm kind of surprised that I haven't really been seeing this much. TIE Fighter mentioned this, but I haven't really been seeing it in the decks I've been looking at. Of course, I'm fairly certain I haven't seen all the decks, right? But I would highly recommend this just because you're gonna want your counterblast, even on Tigger. You know, if you're able to use Tigger's ability, and we didn't even talk about it, but Tigger's ability is if he's pitched for a cost, you can call him back to the field as rest, counterblast 1, draw a card. Ribble is a little easier to use because it's soul chart or soul blast, but Tigger definitely has that option too. So grade 2s, we have Urkob. Urkob is our ride target, and the way Urkob works is once per turn you pitch a card, and your Vanguard is going to get +1 drive. I've had games where I was at high enough damage, I actually used 2 of these and got +2 drive. This is definitely going to help in that regard. So yeah, and it can be pitched as a grade 3 if you need to stride. But I want to be able to continue using this because it's a really good grade 2 game. Another card that's really good for the grade 2 game is Smoke Gear. Smoke Gear, when it attacks, it gets +5. That's really the only reason I'm using this. If you rode, or I should say, if your Vanguard is Chrono Dragon or Chronojet Dragon, when you would discard a card from hand, it maybe discards a grade 3. The only time this is going to become relevant, really, honestly, in this deck is, well, first of all, if it survived a turn, which it may not. But when you actually call or I should say ride a grade 4 from your deck during your turn if you went first, for example. So yeah. And then the other thing here is when it attacks Vanguard, I talked about the +5. If you rode a grade 4, not strode, rode a grade 4, you can still blast a draw. So you're not going to be able to do that if you're striding. Okay, don't soft cheat there. I could have seen myself easily doing that. And then the last card we have here is the other part of our Time Leap package, which is History Maker. So History Maker is one of the cards that was reprinted in Revival. It's got the shinies in here. This, on attack, GB1, counterblast 1, Time Leap one of your other cards. And so that's pretty powerful. You could Time Leap literally anything. If you have another grade 2 in play, you could Time Leap into Colossus, which is who we're going to get to next, because Colossus is really important in this deck. So Mellow Amusement Colossus. I'm not sure what's really mellow about this giant Colossus with an organ, but the way this card works is auto, when placed, bind a card from your hand, and your opponent for the rest of the turn has to call 2 cards to guard an attack. It's not just him, it's the whole turn. Urwater is definitely going to be a good card to pitch for this. Old Dran as well is an option, because then they're going to proc when they go to the bind zone. So it's a really good card. If you Time Leap into this, the really cool thing is you Time Leap into this at the end of turn, this is going to go back in your deck. So you're going to be able to get it again. You're going to be able to recycle this. So that's why I don't have like 2, 3, 4 in here. I could see running maybe 2, but you're able to recycle this, so which is really good. But say you've got Smoke Gear out, you swing with that first, your opponent takes it or guards, whatever, you swing with this, you can then Time Leap that into this, for example. It's not the most attacks you're getting off, but it's definitely pressuring your opponent's hand. So there is that. The other grade 3 we have in here is the boss. Until you want to ride. It's Chronojet Dragon. You want the Viera, you want the markers, you want the gift ones. Chances are you're going to be putting those on your Vanguard, as well as maybe share one or two off to the side on one of your columns. The way this works is during your main phase, you can count. Let's see what you do here. Yeah, discard one or more cards with some of their grades being 3, right? And remember, you can't use the stride crit to do this. But Urkog, you could use that, and you go get a grade 4 and you write it. And then the other ability here is, well, then I should finish that. At the end of the turn, you're going to unride that and then reride your grade 3. So you're effectively getting 2 markers a turn, which is really cool. And you're going to ride it as the rest. The other ability is Auto Vanguard Rearguard. When it attacks, kind of +1 till the end of battle. This gets +5, and it's Sentinel Restrict. So your opponent can't guard with Sentinels, grade 1s or 2s of any sort. So very good offensively. Either Vanguard or Rearguard. I have a few main deck grade 4s. Metallic Phoenix. Yeah, you can't ride this, but you ride this out of you can't ride this from hand. You just yeah, you can't normal ride this. You're going to use this ability, and this has drive 3, so that's why I have it. And we're going to talk about Time Leaper Dragon here in a second. I also have Next Stage as a pair. Next Stage is really good. At the end of its battle, you can discard 2 cards, Ribble, Tigger, to unride this, basically reride a Chronojet Dragon. Yes, you're going to get the marker. You give it +15 from his ability, and then when it swings, it gets an extra +5. So it's going to get +20 basically, and Sentinel Restrict, which is really good. So I have this as a pair, and because you want to be able to do this. Grog insists that you do this. So, okay. So that's the main deck. Thanks for bearing with me here. I'm kind of fading a little bit, I think, but hanging in there. So that's the main deck. And by all means, there are all sorts of things you can do. Might as well talk about that now before. Well, let's talk about the this first, and then we'll go there. So Grog is the latest, greatest of the premium collection strides for your Chronicle. The way this works is at the end of its battle, you kind of +1. You destride, you bind 4 of your cards from field, and you go into your deck and you ride a grade 3 or greater from your deck. And so you're going to ride Next Stage, right? So you're going to swing with this, get 3 drives. Next Stage is going to get a -1 drive from this. So it's going to drive check 1. And then after you attack with Next Stage, you're then going to unride that to then be on Chronojet and drive check another 2. So 6 drive checks, 3 attacks by the Vanguard. I call this Blue Kagero, and I really like it. One of the things I don't like about this card is it doesn't flip a card. I really wish it did, but it doesn't, because it would make History Builder better. So the way History Builder works is if this on your Vanguard G zone, the number of copies of this, say you have 1 in your Vanguard, 1 in your G zone. The way it works is your cards with Time Leap, TikTok, and History Maker are going to get +3K for each one of these. So that's pretty good, right? But then the other ability is Time Leap. Auto, and this is going to get +3 as well, right? It's pretty cool. Time Leap Auto Vanguard. When it attacks, it's Soul Last 1, and turn a card from your G zone face up, so you're automatically going to be able to do 1. Time Leap up to the same number of your rear guards as the number of face up cards in G zone. So I like this as a push. If you think you're able to just finish the game, go into this. You could go into this first. I like the option of going into this second, and we'll see kind of how you're going into second. You're actually not going into this. You're going into Gear Groovy. But these are basically your 2 options from Premium Collection 1 and 2 in terms of, and I guess this is, yeah, this was from Collection 1. So I run 3 of this. I run 3 of this in case I decide to go on this first. And yeah, I want to have as many copies of this as I can possibly get in the deck, so I can get +3, +6, +9. It's pretty good. It's pressuring. So these are your first ride target options. History Builder and Grog Grog. Second, stride if you get there. Gear Groovy. Gear Groovy, the way Gear Groovy works is, I'm going to read the second act first. Once per turn, GB3, Soul Blast 1, choose a face down card from your G zone and turn it face up. This gets +5 until end of turn. So that's going to allow you to flip a card that you'll then be able to copy off its first ability, which is GB2. It's kind of, I understand why they did this. It makes it kind of hard to use it, but you just have to work through things. If you're able to, G-guard early, that's going to help too. So the first act is GB2. Choose a card named Gear Groovy from your G zone, turn it face up. And if you have Chronojet in your heart, which you will, choose an auto ability on 2 of your face up strides. So say you have this up and this up, you're gonna be able to copy those abilities. You're gonna be able to copy the auto, which is on attack. You're gonna copy this auto, which is at the end of the battle. So that's pretty cool, right? You can copy these. And so what you can do, for example, is say you went on this first, and then you flipped a card, right? Maybe you flip this because you want +6, right? At the end of the turn, you destride there. Next turn, you're going to go into Gear Groovy. You're at 1, 2, 3 GB. So you're at 3 GB. You're going to use its second ability. You're going to Soul Blast 1 and flip this. Grog Rock up. You're now then going to use its GB2 ability. Flip this up to then copy Grog Rock and History Builder. So that's one thing you can do. There's a few other cards I have in here that you can flip up as such. And we should talk about those. We've got Ragnaclock. So Ragnaclock, Counterblast 1. When you attack, this basically forces your opponent to not be able to guard with grade 0s for this battle. And so it's not the whole turn, right? That would be really cool. And then if you have 2 or more cards face up in your G zone, which you will if you're using this for this ability, it gets an extra crit. So the way it works is you're going to use this to flip 1 up, and it's going to get its ability. So on attack, you're going to counterblast 1, and just you got to have the other one to flip it up, right? So that's another card that it can copy. And then I have Next Stage, the old Next Stage, in the G zone. So this is GB2, counterblast 1. This is auto ability. Choose a face down card, Chrono Dragon, Next Stage. From your G zone, turn it face up. That's why I've got 2 of them, just like Ragnaclock. And at the end of the battle, you do this. You're going to counterblast 1. You're going to, gosh, the font is like, maybe I'm getting too old for Vanguard. I wasn't seeing Chrono Dragon for Gear Dragon on Heritage earlier and was trying to really kind of see if I could do something, but I couldn't. Things like that. It's just a really, really small font. I'm not in the best of lighting either. But basically, the bottom line is counterblast 1, pitch 3, destride this, and then restand your Vanguard. So you're going to be able to attack again, which is really cool. So yeah, it's the Next Stage that we have in the main deck is kind of like this one in a way. Kind of that you discard 2, this you discard 3. So, but these are 2 other options that I have in here. So multi-attack extending, a limiter, limiting the what can be done. This is basically a shapeshifter. You're able to copy whatever it is that has an auto ability. Okay. Now there's on-place auto abilities. If this could copy on-place auto abilities, you actually could copy Dust. You can't do that. Chronos Command 2, I think there's a card as well that I really like, which is kind of a board wipe, but you can't do that either. So, but these are my strides. This is what I have for my G Guardians. I have Header Around ×2. Header Around, Soul Blast 1, spin one of your opponent's cards off the board. They shuffle it back into their deck and then call the top card of their deck to the field. So it's kind of a gamble, but it's our Denial Griffin, and we need it. Definitely run this at least 2. I'm running Rafana. Rafana is when this unit is placed on the Guardian Circle, choose one of your grade 1s or greater and return it to your deck. If you do, search your deck for up to grade 0 call to rear circle. If you did this, it gets plus 10, so it becomes a 25k. So this is really good for you're trying to survive to get to your next turn. Maybe you need to get an Urwater, maybe you need a TikTok, maybe you need Dran, the OG Dran. So this really helps set up plays for next turn, which is pretty cool. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And next I got the old Uluru, right? And so I wasn't really a Gears player in G-Era, but when we did the split for Fighters Collection 3, I actually have a stack of these sitting down here from that time. Probably should list them. But the way she works is when you guard with her, she's actually going to get +5 if you're able to do what she says. She basically says take one of your normal units and one of your triggers and put them on the bottom of your deck. It's really good. It's just another way to recycle over trigger. It's a way to recycle heals, way to recycle criticals, any trigger you want, and then whatever normal unit you want to put in. And if you do that, which is usually possible, you're going to get +5. So it doesn't get that big, but the utility of being able to toolbox back into your deck is pretty awesome. So the cool thing about Gear Chronicle is you toolbox out of the deck, but you also toolbox back in. And so it's pretty rich mechanic in my opinion. So, and then lastly, we have the Boss G-Guard, Uluru, GB1 locked. You have to counterblast 1 and you have to flip a G-Guard up to do this. But she's going to get +5 for every card face up in your G-Zone. So this is definitely late game, helps late game. And I'd only run the 1. So the way it works is if you head around, say you head around again, say you had to use her and you're left with these 2 face down. If you go into this, you flip this up, you're okay. You have 4 face up here, now you got 5. Bottom line is you can only have 4 face up, or I should say, if you have 4 face up Guardians in your G-Zone, you can no longer G-Guard. That's what I'm trying to say. So just for those of you who are new. So that's why running the 5 is A-okay, because if you're going into this one as last, you're gonna have that one other to flip, which you need. So running 5 G-Guards is actually pretty common, even though the rule is that you can only have, or if you have 4 up, you can't G-Guard again. Sometimes, depending on if you don't have anything decent to really help your game plan too, sometimes people run 6 or 7 G-Guards. Just kind of depends. So it depends on what your local meta is like. I should say what meta deck you're going to bring. So try to be careful using the word meta because it actually means most effective tech, basically. So that's going to be different depending on where you're at, right? So that's the deck that I have currently built. And I just want to see if there's anything else I want to talk to you all about here. So look forward to testing that version. I have been testing the previous version. So if we go down through just cards that you might have, if you're a Gears player, you definitely have this. You have your smokes, you have your steam. You notice I didn't have steam breath in there. I love steam breath because this is a 13K booster beater. However, I put in Mellum for now, and we'll see how that fares. But that's really what had to come out. You might like Naboo over smoke gear, so you could definitely run this if you want. It's a grade 1 guard restrict, grade 1 PGs. You may not want to run the PG counterchargers, if that's, or not PG, what am I saying? The heal counterchargers. They're typically RPG counterchargers. We're not even talking about that. But the heal counterchargers, if you don't want to run that, then I put the extra 2 of those back in. So yeah. One of the other cards that you saw that wasn't in there was Time Leaper Dragon. Time Leaper Dragon, this is a really good card. And honestly, this is a really good play. And I've been using it both a little bit in V, although pretty much play mostly premium these days. But I have been using this in premium some. And it's a really good play. because you'll be able to time leap a grade 1 to then call him out, and then if you have her in hand, you can then pitch and then call back here. So you can effectively get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 attacks. And I know I didn't show all the moving parts there, but you can definitely get 5 attacks with this. So this is a really good option. I wouldn't cower away from this at all. If you really like it, run it. I'm not running Lost Gear Dog 8. It is a good option. It counts as a grade 3 when you stride, or I should say when you're using it for the cost, right? When the card would be discarded at all. When it would be discarded. So it's not like the critical stride, right? This is actually something you can use to call next stage from your deck. So yeah, it's an option. You can consider it. I'm not running it. As you saw, I'm only running I'm running 3 of the 4 PG draws, and I recommend picking up this set if you haven't already. 5 of the 7 cards are very useful. And so, getting a split or just picking them up, the singles is really good. There are a few other strides here that I really like. I like this stride. This is Mystery Freeze. The way this works is once returned, GB3, this is a very late game card. Counterblast 2, it's really expensive. You shuffle your deck, and then you bind the top 4 cards off the top of your deck. And whatever grades that you bind there, your opponent can't guard with. Yeah, it's just, and it's until end of turn. It's all your attacks. So if you're like time leaping and getting more than 3 attacks in, maybe 4, 5, 6, whatever, your opponent can't guard. If you check a grade 0 and grade 1, they can't perfect guard. I shouldn't say check, but bind. So yeah, and then if a grade 3 was bound, this unit gets +1 drive. So you get 4 drive checks. This is brutal. This is actually really, really good. In terms of just the possibilities of what it could do. My problem with it is just so YOLO. If you compress your deck down that hard, which this deck can do, this deck can actually compress. It can do both. Cards can go in and out. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. And I'm going to show you a play where you can really compress your deck. So, which could be helpful or detrimental. So this is the card I was talking about that, Chronos Command Revolution, Counterblast 1. If you have a Chronos Command, which I don't even have, let's see here. Yeah, if you have a Interdimensional Dragon, Chronos Command Dragon, so this is Revolution. I don't have the Chronos Command Dragon. So the way this is going to work is your opponent's going to take all their cards and put it at the bottom of the deck. You're going to do likewise. However, if you have Chronos Command Dragon face up, 2 of your cards are going to be prevented from having to do that. It's interesting, and it's when it's placed, so you can't copy it with Groovy. So yeah. Unless I'm missing something on the timing, but no, I'm not missing something on the timing. So Heritage, this is a Chrono Dragon, Time Dragon. It's a really cool card because the way this works is if you have 4 Zodiac Time Beasts face up in your G zone, when you attack with this, those 4 cards you can put basically what you do is you flip them back face down, and this is going, when it unrides, or I should say destrides, you're going to be able to restride this and take another turn. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It allows you to basically recycle your G zone, so you're able to use those cards again. This is typically going to be, what is it going to be, like a 3rd stride? So you could run this, but you have to probably run the PG, or not PG, excuse me, I've said that twice now. You have to run the G guard that's also a Zodiac. And this one, it's a Soul Blast. When it's placed on G, the number of cards in your zone, G, let's see, in your bind zone is 1 or more, it's going to get +5. If it's 5 or more, it's going to get 15. It's not bad because you're going to bind. This actually is not terrible with Grog Rock because you're going to bind with Grog Rock. and get a lot of cards in your bind zone. But it's got to be 5 or more. So you may only have the 4. You know, it's what it is. We got more of this. Let's see here. We've got our history makers. So a few other cards here that I've been collecting, actually. This guy, Steam Knight, Caliban. When it's placed on rearguard circle, choose one of your opponent's rearguards. Your opponent returns that unit to his or her deck. Search your deck for up to 1 card with grade 1 less than that unit. So if you spin a grade 2, they have to go get a grade 1. This could backfire, but it's a very interesting option. It's not retire, but the idea is similar, that you're trying to remove a problem from the table. Grade 1s, we already talked about him. It's just, I really like the countercharge ability. Here's another grade 1 that I may tech in at 1. It's called Tick Away Dragon. GB1, when your other unit is placed on a rearguard circle due to the effect of Time Leap, choose one of your cards from your drop zone and put it on the bottom of your deck. So it really helps toolbox cards back into your deck, like triggers. And then Meshkia, GB1, rest this unit. When this unit is placed on rearguard circle from your deck due to Time Leap, you may pay the cost. If you do, draw a card. Choose one of your other units and gets +4. So helps you draw cards, and yeah, it's pretty cool. And then Lishma. Lishma is auto, rearguard circle, Soul Blast 1, choose a card from your hand, discard it. At the end of the battle that this unit boosted a Vanguard, you may pay the cost. If you do, you Time Leap her. And then it says here, GB1, when this unit is placed on or from your bind zone, so when it comes back, you may counterblast 1 and draw a card. If you don't have ways to countercharge, you're probably not going to do that. But if you do, you might. This is a card that I want to get in my deck. It's the perfect card that's really interesting for Gear Chronicle Labashim. The way this works is GB1, choose a card from your hand and discard it. When this unit is placed on rearguard circle from your deck due to Time Leap, you pitch a card and put this to your hand. So you Time Leap one of your grade 0s. Maybe it's TikTok. Maybe it's this. Put this into your field, pitch a card, and get the PG into your hand. That's pretty good. You're able to just go get yourself a perfect card. Very much considering running this card. Out of all the cards I've been showing you here, this is the one card that I would really like to add to my deck, just because of the ability that it has. You can run more of these. Just remember that the Vieira starter counts as a Chronodran. And then there's Gear Cat. Gear Cat's really cool. Basically, in a nutshell, it's GB1 once per turn. The way this card's going to work is when your opponent's rearguard is put into their deck due to one of your effects, head her around, for example, or something like Caliban, right? What happens is you choose one of your other units, your Vanguard, which is what you're going to want to choose, and it gets plus 10,000K until end of turn. If you do, return this unit to your deck. So this is going to cycle back in your deck. So you can go get this with Rafana, right? You'll get this with Rafana, and then you're going to have it in play, and then you're going to be able to head around or use Caliban or something like that to use this to give your Vanguard plus 10 until end of turn. And so this could be actually useful defensive or offensive. So with Rafana, with header around, that's going to be defensive. With Caliban, it's going to be offensive. So pretty cool, right? I mean, look at all the richness and mechanics that this clan has. It's pretty incredible. I really enjoy it. I'm gonna put that here. And so yeah, let's see here. Where am I going with this? Just gonna put all my cards here in a bit. You guys don't need to see me do that. So yeah, let me know your guys' thoughts, what you're doing. I really look forward to hearing from you, getting some feedback from, people who out there who are, I shouldn't even say more of an expert of a Gears player. I am by no means an expert here on this in any way in the slightest, but I've been thinking a lot about it, and I really enjoy this clan. I really enjoyed them in Vieira, and I enjoy stepping it up and bringing them over to premium for Chronojet. My next project, and actually I'm already working on it, is Shadow Paladins. So Shadow Paladins is another clan that I played a bit of in the V era. And I say that because my playgroup's kind of moved on from V. We don't really play V. I know V's being played. I know that, you know, at the Bro, I'm sure V's going to be there along with D era and Premium. But we've pretty much moved away from V, which is good and bad. I mean, I'm really looking forward to Infinite Zero Dragon with Chaos to see how that works, and I'm looking forward to Thing Saver, Raging Form. There are a few things that I'm looking forward to, but for the most part, we play Premium, and it's a lot of fun. That's why we play it. The new ban list has been interesting. Not much within my playgroup has changed other than my decks. My decks got hit pretty hard. My friend, I shouldn't say that. I gotta be fair there. Zarzan, Grand Blue losing Zarzan was actually a pretty big hit. In a way. Twa for Bermuda Triangle. Again, I think it's maybe forcing Bermuda Triangles to go back more towards old Riviera. I shouldn't say old, V era. To get those early hits in, because it's just really good. It's really pressuring. Similar to Dragonic Overlord in a way, right? Similar. Not quite, but similar. And yeah, our Dragonic Overlord player, man, I mean, just under the radar. Nothing, no changes. So anyhow, I hope you guys are having a great weekend. You saw I'm tinkering a little bit with D there. Not much, honestly. But until then, next video may be Shadow Paladins. So I hope you guys have a great weekend, safe weekend, get some safe Vanguard in, and have a great week. I'll catch you next time.